WSR or Noah Clark, and you're watching Worldwide Sim Racing's coverage of the WSR Japanese Grand Prix. We're here at Suzuka in one of my favorite tracks on the F1 calendar, and I'm very, very excited to get started. 7 seconds and counting before the race start, and I can't wait to get started with all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, around Suzuka, one of my favorite tracks, and hopefully is going to be a mega battle for all the drivers in WSR. Of course, the format of WSR, short qualifying, 18 minutes of non-stop fast action to set the fastest lap in the race, to get on pole position, and then a 50% race to see who will win the Japanese Grand Prix. And unfortunately, I am alone today. Official Sully not able to join us in commentary tonight, so I will just be your sole commentator for tonight. Again, thank you everybody who's coming in to join us right now as we're just getting ready for the start. We're loading up into us now, and we have about 14 drivers on the grid, so a pretty sizable lobby as we get ready, set for action in Suzuka. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Worldwide Sim Racing. If you are joining us for the first time, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content. And let's get ready. And there are all 14 drivers. It's Nathan DeVillers, Flip Flop Fish, Sweet Crown 19, Fried Potato, DePaster, Gernman, Jonathan Cox, SRT Monty, Usimi Flying, Fenrique, Niklas, Team GD Darkva is coming up to WSR 1. Diego in 13th, and Mitch 791 in the other McLaren in 14th. And we are just getting ready for the first car to come out of the pits. Flip-Flop Fish is usually quite a quick driver to come out of the pit lane. We're just going to get ready to see who it is that comes out first. I hear the roar of engines, and it is a McLaren that's going to come out first, and it is Mitch 791. We will ride on board with him as he'll take us around the first lap, the outlap around Suzuka. Coming out of the pit lane in the orange and blue McLaren. Just coming up to the end there. On board with him. My favorite couple of first turns. Now coming up to the S's of Suzuka. One of the most famous parts of the entire track. The whole track is filled with memorable corners. It's very easy to lose traction in these corners. You have to be very, very smooth. Balance the brake and throttle. Now coming up towards the end of Sector 1. Again, completely flat here. And just a dab on the brakes before coming in hot and then ending Sector 1. Going underneath the bridge. This is the only 8th track on the calendar with a below section and an above section. Now coming up towards the end of Sector 2, coming near the end where 130R is. And very easy to lose braking here. He's braking obviously a little bit earlier than most would, but braking just enough. And then to get back on the power now onto the straight. No DRS detection zone here. A start-finish straight for another league of some sort. Now coming up to 130R, completely flat through here in these modern-day F1 cars. Now coming up to the final slow chicane. And Mitch 791 will come around the final turn. He will set his first lap now. Let's see it. DRS opens before the start-finish line. And coming down, barreling in the turn 1. Let's see how he handles it. Coming in fast and braking hard. Keeping it right on the apex and back on the power early. Now coming through the center S's. Let's see how he does here. And he does very well indeed. Keeping it right on the line. Looking very, very good indeed for the start. And a little slow through the end of the center S. Is trying to get back into the swing of things. Now coming around for the end of Sector 1. Dabbing on the brakes just enough and keeping it just off the curb there. Braking hard at the end of Sector 1 and keeping it off the curb there. Nicely done. Now into Sector 2, the hairpin, which can easily catch you out. Let's see how he handles it, and he handles it beautifully. Nothing expected less from Mitch 791 as he's coming around now out of Sector 2 to the hard braking zone. Let's see how he does here. Braking late and keeping it on the curb. Now using the curb a little bit there and keeping it very nicely. Not losing traction like many do. Running up on the curb a little bit there out of the exit, but that's okay. Now onto the start-finish line of another racetrack of some sort. Some other layout Coming up to 130R, completely flat. Running on the grass a little bit there. That might cost him a little bit. Coming up now to the slow chicane at the end of the track. Let's see what he does here. And keeping it nice and tidy around the final turn. Mitch 791 looking good, and it's going to be a 128.7, a very nice lap by him. Here comes Nathan de Villiers and his teammate, and there's a Williams ahead of him, I believe, who's going to set a time. It's SRT Monty, actually, and Nathan de Villiers goes faster with a 128.2, so looking very nice indeed. Flip-flop Fish now is going to come around the final turn. Let's see what his time is going to be. Championship leader, it is a 128.3. Diego is fastest at the moment, though, with a 127.7. Fenrique goes fourth fastest. Sweet Crown 19 is still in the pit. Tapaster in the Renault, trying to set a very good lap, trying to get the Renault up higher on the grid. Let's see what he can do here in the black and yellow car, and it's only going to be 7th fastest on the grid of a 129.1. You See Me Flying is now coming up towards the end of Sector 2. He should be at the end of Sector 2, now coming onto that straight before 130R. The other Mercedes driver, You See Me Flying, who has not been the most fantastic driver in qualifying, looking to set a good lap here. Keeping it off the grass, unlike Mitch. Braking hard into the chicane, and nicely done through there. Nice on the power. Coming around the final turn, let's see what his time is going to be. The other Mercedes will go only a fastest, so not exactly the fastest time on the grid, but keeping it in the top 10. Jonathan Cox is actually off the track at the end of Sector 1 in the Rich Energy Haas car, or what was formerly the Rich Energy Haas car, but they never removed the logo in game, which I found interesting. Team GD Darkva is coming in the turn 1 and just ahead of the Ferrari of, looks to be Gurman, who's coming out of the pit lane. And now Sweet Crown 19 is also coming out, and I believe he's actually just behind his teammate. Yes, he is. So the two Ferraris now coming out. The Italian outfit looking to get a good result here. Jonathan Cox now still coming around the pits. I do believe there's front wing damage. Here comes Darkva at the end of Sector 1. Going to try to brake hard. Just braking lightly into here. Running up on the curb a little bit, but keeping it nice and tidy. Running up on the curb twice there now. That might slow him up a little bit. Now coming around to the hairpin. Again, very easy to lose the car. Not quite hitting the apex, but good on the power. The two Ferraris are very close line astern. Who's going to get slipstream off of who, I presume? It might be Sweet Crown 19 who wanted to get slipstream, so he might stay behind his teammate for the time being. Team GD Darkva is now coming up on the end of Sector 2. Not very nice and tidy on the line there. And we're going to see how this goes. Team GD Darkva now coming up towards 130R. He'll try to keep it close to the curb, the apex there. And that was not very good. Actually runs a little wide. Didn't really try to turn it all there. Just kind of let the car coast through. Now on the final, ooh, that might be an invalidation right there as he cuts the curb at the end there. And I do believe that's going to be an invalidation. Yes, he does go into the pits. Gurman will set the first lap. Sweet Crown 19 actually separates himself from his teammate. Did not want to get slipstream off his teammate, which I find interesting enough, though. They don't want to be catching up each other on the qualifying laps. Now it is Gurman coming around the first few turns. Not very good there. Not on the apex of the turns. Coming through the center S is now redlining the car a lot through the gears. In fourth, now up the fifth, back down the fourth. And not looking very good through here. Up now with Sweet Crown 19, who is higher up in the gears, in sixth. But he's not looking very fast either right now, actually, as he's having trouble finding speed. This might not be the fastest lap from the Ferrari driver. Fried Potato now in the Williams, also trying to set his first lap in qualifying. And he really almost goes off track there. Not touching the curb is a good idea around the center S's. Can really spin the car out very easily. Fried Potato finding out the hard way. Sweet Crown 19 looked to get pretty good out of the hairpin. Now coming around towards the end of Sector 2. And there's a McLaren behind him, I do believe. Now let's see how he does, braking very nicely, keeping it on the apex, running on the curb a little bit there. I don't know if that's going to be an invalidation. Gurman, though, is ahead of him, just finishing 130R. Let's see how the Ferrari man does. The first Ferrari man is going to be Gernman to set a time. Let's see how he does. Coming around now, the final chicane very nicely on the final turn before the final turn. Let's see what it's going to be. It's only going to be 7 fastest for him, and Sweet Crown 19 decides to go into the pits. I do believe that Potato would probably likely make the same decision, as it was not a very good lap time, I presume, by the Williams driver, as he's now going to get bogged down by DePaster, and I do believe this is just going to be going into the pits. Yes, it is. DePaster already out for another lap. It's about 9 minutes to go in qualifying, coming into the first turn, barreling down, keeping it nice on the apex, and look at this, much better line through there, and running on the curb a little bit, though that's not okay, that's all right. Keeping it off the curb there, maybe running, see, he compromised himself there, not a very good line, and he's corrected himself a little bit now, coming up towards the uphill left-hander, just off the curb. That can easily spin you out if you're not careful. DePaster will just dab on the brakes there, on the grass a little bit actually, but keeping it nice and tidy. There's a McLaren ahead of him. I do believe that is Nathan de Villiers, and yes, it is, coming out of the hairpin, and not looking very good, actually, out of the hairpin, though he is second fastest on the grid right now, just behind Diego, who is the only driver into the 127s at the moment, as he runs up on the grass quite a lot there, and that was a ferocious lap time. Niklas is 4th fastest at the moment, ahead of his teammate Fenrique in the other Red Bull. Flip-Flop Fish is now coming around for the end of Sector 2. And running on the curb just a little bit there. And running a little wide, but not too wide. Now onto the straight before 130R. Let's see how he does. Want to keep it as much to the right as possible before coming into the left and just hugging the curb there. Looking very tidy indeed. Now through the chicane. The end of Sector 3, looking very nice indeed. This might be a better lap time from Flip-Flop Fish. Let's see what it's going to be. It is going to be second fastest. He's on the front row of the grid. He's into the 127s, but he doesn't touch Diego's time. 2/10 slower than Diego's time, actually. Let's see if we can ride on anybody who's finishing up their laps. Sweet Crown 19 is on an outlap. Still has not yet set a time in qualifying. The yellow flag in Sector 3. Let's get up the track map so we can see everything that's going on. And we're not going to do that. There we go. Getting all the drivers in view now on our track map. Trying to see who is about to set a time. Darkva is about just setting his lap time to begin. Let's see, going into turn 1, how does he do? Not running on the curb there, but keeping it on the curb in this turn 2. So looking very nice indeed there, and very nice snap reaction there, putting it on the curb, but keeping it nicely out of the gravel. And slowing up a little bit there, but still looking good. Darkva now runs up on the curb just a little bit out of the exit, but that's going to be okay, and he saves himself there, dabbing on the brakes just a little bit, keeping it off of the curb just about, and now at the end of Sector 1 under the bridge. Darkva is behind, I believe that is the Ferrari of Gernman. And here comes Sweet Crown 19. Now that might be an invalidation. No, it isn't actually. He gets saved by the game. That was a bit of a corner cut, but he'll let it slide there. Diego's still in the pits. Niklas goes into the pits. Not happy with the lap time he set. DePaster is now setting a lap time. Sweet Crown 19 coming to the end of the lap. Potato now coming in the Sector 2. And Darkva is coming up towards 130R. Sweet Crown 19 finishing up Sector 2. Now Darkva braking hard into the chicane. Let's see what he can do. Nice and smooth through there. Not too shabby indeed. Now he goes into the pits, actually. He's not happy with the lap time. It's on that soft compound tire. Now, Sweet Crown 19 is going to come around the final turn. He will set his first lap time, and it will be only 7th fastest for the Ferrari driver, Sweet Crown 19, with, again, not a great qualifying time, and this has been a theme for Sweet Crown 19 in the 2020 season, just a lack of qualifying performance, especially compared to how he performed last year. Sweet Crown 19, only 7th fastest with 4 minutes and 50 seconds to go and counting. Gurman is now trying to set a lap time. Only 10th fastest at the moment. Fried Potato is 10th fastest. You See Me Flying is 12th fastest. And SRT Monty's coming out of the pits. Nathan DeViller is also trying to set a lap time. A little slow out of sector 1 out there, going under the bridge. Sweet Crown 19, though. Has to be a little concerned. Not a very good lap time by him, 128.5. It's a decent lap time, but it's not enough for pole position, and it's only 7th fastest on the grid at the moment. So quite bogged down, not having his best performance so far as he would like to have. Nathan DeVillers, who was 2nd fastest on the grid now, is going to try to catch up. He's in overtake, definitely setting a lap time at the moment. Let's see how he does. Going through 130R, just on the curb there. Very nicely done. Very smooth through there. Now coming up toward the final chicane, keeping it just on the limit. Very nicely done through the final chicane. Let's see how he does. A little bit heavy on the power. And Nathan DeVillers, only 4th fastest, not able to get back onto the top row of the grid. Fenrique, meanwhile, is in a 127.932, and that is thousandths of a second faster than Flip Flop Fish. Very, very good. Nathan DeVillers, though, only 4th fastest, not able to get back up to the second row of the grid like he was before. Niklas is in the top 5, warming up his tires, trying to set a good final lap. It's only 3 minutes to go, so this will be his final lap of qualifying. Sweet Crown 19, if he wants to get out of the pits, he'll have to do it soon. Now, Nathan DeVillers' qualifying is probably over, as I don't really see him having any chance of improving on his time. Mitch 791 is on an outlap. 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go. That will be enough time to set another lap. Where is Sweet Crown 19? Still in the pits. He's going to have to get out pretty soon if he wants to set another lap time, unless he doesn't have any intention of doing so. I don't see any Ferraris. There is one Ferrari coming in. That is the Ferrari of Gurman. Now, is this going to slow up? Oh, no, sorry, Gurman coming out of the pits. Sweet Crown 19, though, is still in the pits. 2 minutes to go. He kind of has to get a move on here. Flip Flop Fish will then now set one final lap in qualifying, coming around turn 2. Coming out of the exit, very nice and smooth out there. Not running up on the curb, not running on the curbs there. Through there is Ever. Very nice lines through the center S's of Suzuka. And he's behind a Ferrari, and that is Gurman. Sweet Crown 19 has come out on his outlap, and now this should be good to go. 1 minute and 35 seconds to go, unless he makes a mistake. Now behind Gurman. Oh, but now Gurman, I don't believe Gurman gave him issues, but Flip Flop Fish has redded his lap. It is not going to be a valid lap, and he will not get on pole position today. And SRT Monty has had a crash, I believe, somewhere at the end of Sector 1. And You See Me Flying is the driver who's going through there, I do believe. No, it's the other. There's another Mercedes driver, I do believe. And now there's yellow flags all over the place as multiple drivers are having issues. Sweet Crown 19, 49 seconds to go. He will make it around for one final lap in qualifying. Gurman should as well make it around, as there's another yellow flag around here. Yellow flags everywhere, as I believe drivers are retiring in the pit lane, but it's causing yellow flags. Gurman is coming around there. Let's see how he does. And he will start his lap. Sweet Crown 19 will start his lap as well. Nathan DeVillers, though, I do believe is too far behind. And there it is, actually, the Mercedes of You See Me Flying, who I think had a crash at the end there, actually, which is what was causing the yellow flag situation. Now, I don't believe Nathan DeVillers does not have time. He is not going to get out in time for another lap. And Potato just makes it across the line, but Nathan DeVillers is done in qualifying, and he will stay fourth fastest. Now, Gurman was the first Ferrari to cross the line to set another lap. Let's see how he does. End of Sector 1. It's not any faster. Going to get the lap data on board right now. Let's see how he does in Sector 2. Very wide out of the hairpin and not looking good there either. Now Gurman coming around to the end of Sector 2. And hugging it to the curb. Sweet Crown 19 is just behind him and having issues of his own, not keeping the grip that he would like to have. Let's see how Gurman is out of Sector 2. Not fastest. Diego goes faster. It's a 1:27.5. But here comes Sweet Crown 19. Fastest in the second sector. Gurman is now going to come across the line. His teammate in the shadows behind him. Here goes Gurman. He will go. Still only 10th fastest. Sweet Crown 19 will go only second fastest. 1:27.668. Back on the front row of the grid. Flip-Flop Fish is only 5th on the grid. And it's a great performance from the Ferrari driver in the dying moments of qualifying. On the second row of the grid, Sweet Crown 19 trying to make a charge for his championship hopes. And he puts it on the first row of the grid behind Diego. It's a Williams and a Ferrari on the front row of the grid. And I do believe it is going to be a titanic battle. Here's your top 5. Pretty much everybody except 2 drivers. You see me flying on mediums and SRT Monty on hards. Everybody else on softs. Diego, Sweet Crown 19. Jonathan Cox in the Haas with a good qualifying position of 3rd. Fenrique 4th fastest, and Flip-Flop Fish are your championship leader, only 5th on the grid. There's your top 5 for this Japanese Grand Prix as we just get ready for the end there, and we will now load up into the race. And that was a thrilling qualifying session, very, very closely matched through all the grid. All the drivers separated by just hundredths of a second mostly. It is going to be very interesting to see how this goes. And we're just loading up in the pit lane. And 20 seconds to go. We'll have a formation lap. We'll warm up our tires. We'll go over the starting lineup. And we'll get ready for the 5 lights to go on and off. And we will have ourselves a Japanese Grand Prix. Of course, no F1 in real life, but we're still trugging along in WSR. As here we go. Session starting now. And the one red light comes on, and that means it's the beginning of our formation lap, and it begins my rundown of the starting lineup for the 2020 WSR Japanese Grand Prix. Diego ZZ in pole position in the Williams. Sweet Crown 19 is in the Ferrari in second position. Jonathan Cox in the Haas in third, followed by Fenrique in the Red Bull in fourth. Flip-Flop Fish, your championship leader, is in fifth position in the Mercedes. Nathan de Villers in the McLaren in sixth position in the McLaren. Nick Loss 73.49 in the Red Bull in 7th. Mitch 791 in the McLaren in 8th. Tapaster in the Renault in 9th position. Fried Potato in the other Williams in 10th position. WSR Gurman with a poor qualifying position in the Ferrari in 11th. You See Me Flying, again, more qualifying woes, starting 12th on the grid in the Mercedes. SRT Monty 313 in the Toro Rosso in 14th, and his teammate Darkva is in 14th on the grid. 13th for Monty, 14th for Darkva. 27 laps around the grid. About a minute and a half are going to be the lap times. Most of the grid on soft compound tires. It should be a soft, most likely soft to medium to soft possibly. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe a soft to hard. Tire deg is a little heavy on the right side of the car around this track, so we shall see. Everybody warming up their tire, though. Diego is on pole position. A driver who did fantastic in Austria. Now looking for more championship glory in Suzuka. Coming around the chicane, the AI has definitely taken over at this point, and now Diego will line up into his pole position slot, and we'll get ready for the start of the 2020 WSR Japanese Grand Prix. One of the Toro Rossos, and I believe You See Me Flying, actually, not able to set a formation lap. Definitely an issue at the start. And that is not going to help them at all if they want to warm up their tires as much as possible. But all the drivers now lining up. The Ferrari now just coming into his slot in 11th position. And here we go, getting ready for the 5 red lights. And here come the 5 red lights, and it's time to bring the action. And here we go. Diego gets away well. Wheel spin from the Haas, Jonathan Cox. Sweet Crown 19 jumps Diego at the start, however, and gets himself in the first position. A great start by the Ferrari. Jonathan Cox, though, in third position, keeps his line, even though a lot of wheel spin at the start. Nathan de Villers drops position. Gurman going from 10th now, jumping the position as well. Sweet Crown 19, though, leads away Diego in from turn 1. And now Fenrique is trying to challenge the Haas of Jonathan Cox, but now he gets wheel spin. Nicholas will try to catch up to his teammate. Now here comes Jonathan Cox. Now there's grass coming from Diego as he's trying to get as much track out of the car in order to catch up to Sweet Crown 19 going into the hairpin. Ooh, just hitting almost the back of Sweet Crown 19. Jonathan Cox following him. Fenrique, Nicholas, and then Nathan de Villers in 6th position. Flip-Flop Fish has had a horrid start, all the way down in 11th on the grid, just ahead of his teammate, and he has front wing damage to compound a terrible start for him. And the championship leader is having a horrid race at the moment, now out of the points. And You See Me Flying, though, actually might challenge on his teammate. And will Flip-Flop Fish let him by? They're making a drag race coming towards 130R, but Flip-Flop Fish has to secede the position. The You See Me Flying, who gets ahead of his teammate. And for the first time, You See Me Flying will be ahead of his teammate in a race. Sweet Crown 19, though, will come across the line. The start lap 2. Diego is behind him, followed by Jonathan Cox and the Haas, but they're separated by 0.7 of a second. Fenrique behind him trying to make up some time. Diego trying to break later than Sweet Crown 19. Get close to him in the center S's. Don't get too close, though. Dirty air can definitely hurt you as he's coming now through here. And you can actually see, yes, he's actually backing away from Sweet Crown 19 as the dirty air comes more prevalent than ever around here. You See Me Flying, though, gets into 11th position. Flip-Flop Fish makes a pit stop early. And what tire has he put on? He might have put on the hard compound tire. And no, it's actually going to be softs again for Flip-Flop Fish. A little bit of an interesting tactic there. He is going to be quite fast, but he's going to have to make another pit stop. I don't know if this is the correct decision by Flip-Flop Fish, but nevertheless, we're going to go back up to the top of the grid. And it is Sweet Crown 19 who leads the grid right now. Diego in second. Jonathan Cox in the Haas trailing behind, but not gaining time on Diego. Fenrique, however, is keeping the Haas driver honest, trying to get into third position. Now, DRS will be open on the third lap. Slipstream is doing well right now for the Williams driver, but still not able to make an overtake, but still very, very close. He might actually make it up towards the chicane. This would be a mega move, but no, he keeps it behind. Probably the smart decision, as now we'll follow him up towards the start-finish line. DRS will be activated. There is only one DRS straight, though, however, and it is on the start-finish line. And there will be no DRS now coming over the first time. Going into turn 1, you just want to keep it close now, Diego, as he will try to do that to have DRS on the 4th lap. And then McLaren is all the way down at the bottom. Yes, it is Nathan de Villers, who has had a terrible start, 4 seconds behind. Flip-Flop Fish is 30 seconds behind Nathan de Villers. A terrible, terrible start for him. Again, a safety car would help him dearly, but if it doesn't happen, he might be in trouble. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. What has happened here? Darkfa and Nathan de Villers have had a spin. You See Me Flying goes off track too. Was there contact between him and Nathan de Villers? Maybe Monty as well, who's at the bottom of the grid right now. Yellow flags wave again. Diego again keeping close to Sweet Crown 19, not letting him get away from him, wanting to have DRS on the third lap to try to get ahead of the Ferrari and put himself into first position, getting jumped almost immediately on the start-finish line on the start of the race by Sweet Crown 19, who got a glorious start. Flip-Flop Fish has had the most horrid start he could possibly have, though, as he is 8 seconds behind Yosemite Flyin' only due to a spin by Yosemite Flyin'. Flip-Flop Fish in the back burner right now. Diego, though, is getting very, very close to Sweet Crown 19. Definitely a challenge. And Sweet Crown 19 gets actually a bad run through there. That has compromised Diego, though. He lost time on Sweet Crown 19, who had an issue through the chicane. But now DRS is going to be activated. How much time will he gain on Sweet Crown 19? I think Sweet Crown 19 has actually been saved a little bit by actually having a bad run through the final chicane, and that has caused Diego to drop back a little bit, and that cost him some time. Could have been an overtake on the start-finish line. Sweet Crown 19 will keep the lead of the race. Jonathan Cox is currently in third position, though Fenrique is all over him right now. 2/10, now 3/10 behind the Haas driver. And Mitch 791 gets ahead of Tapastor and puts himself in the 6th position on the grid. Flip-Flop Fish, and sorry, Yosemite Flyin' is in the pits and still not changing tires. And was there a 3-second time penalty for Nicholas? Was there some sort of penalty for Yosemite Flyin'? I'm not sure understanding what that was for. 20 seconds now, Flip-Flop is behind Nathan DeVillers. Fenrique is still keeping the Haas driver honest, trying to catch up to him. Again, there's only one DRS straight on the track. Diego is still keeping close to Sweet Crown 19 now. Barring there are no issues in the chicane again on this lap, Diego should have a much better run on Sweet Crown 19 coming on to lap 5. Now coming around, let's see, coming into the chicane, Sweet Crown 19. Let's see how he does do here. And no, much better run through there. But Diego, of course, now will have a better run as well. Now DRS will be activated. Let's see how he does here. In the slipstream, DRS activated. Can he make a move on Sweet Crown 19 in the turn 1? He's going to look, but it's not going to happen. A little bit too far back. And Sweet Crown 19 will stay alive. And was that first lap with DRS the lap that should have happened, but didn't happen because of Sweet Crown 19's issue? Now the Haas has had a bad run through the S's, and Fenrique gets ever so closer to the back of the Haas driver, Jonathan Cox, who is currently keeping third position. Dirty air might be the only thing saving it right now. And now Fenrique has problems, and he runs up on the grass and is actually backed off quite a lot from Jonathan Cox, and that has saved the Haas driver as he stays in third position now, 2 seconds behind Diego in the Williams. Fried Potato gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's down all the way in 9th position, about a second behind Gurman. Gurman is very, very close to Tapastor in the Renault in contrast. Diego now under 0.3 of a second, trying to get close to Sweet Crown 19, but it's not happening just yet. Now running up on the curb there a little bit. That might have been a warning on his part for track extension. Trying to keep close to Sweet Crown 19, staying in the slipstream, not coming through 130 yard. Don't want to lose too much downforce. And look at this. This has been a glorious run. Sweet Crown 19. Oh, look at that. Very, very close. And now, but Sweet Crown 19 has a bad run again through the chicane. And again, Diego is not able to make a good run on the start-finish line with DRS. And that is really, again, Diego must be furious in the cockpit. He must be yelling, Sweet Crown 19, get a good run through there. Actually, let me challenge you instead of bogging me down with another bad run through the chicane. Nevertheless, though, it has helped Sweet Crown 19. And this has been a bad state of affairs for Diego, who, as long as this happens, the front tires are getting blown to pieces, and the chances of overtake are slimming. And now it's 0.6 of a second behind Sweet Crown 19, but I would like to mention who has gone fastest in the first sector, and it is, in fact, Diego who goes fastest in the first sector. So the fastest man on track looks to be Diego in the Williams. Sweet Crown 19 is struggling at the moment in first position, but some interesting tactics have kept him honest. Now, Mitch 791 is trying to catch up to Niklas, who's in 5th right now, trying to get into the top 5. Flip-Flop Fish is ahead of Monty, but still 19 seconds behind Nathan DeVillers. Now, pit stops are quite long on Suzuka, so We'll have to see if Nathan DeVillers can keep his position ahead of Flip Flop Fish. That would be dastardly for Flip Flop Fish, who is guaranteed to make at least a 2-stop in this race. Diego, let's see, a bad run for Sweet Crown 19. Now, this might be it. Coming onto the start-finish line, DRS will be activated, and it's fastest for Diego behind Sweet Crown 19. DRS activated. He'll look on the inside. Will he make a dive on the inside? No! He's looking on the inside, but not close enough, and isn't able to make a move on Sweet Crown 19. Sweet Crown 19, even with a bad run, was still able to keep first position on this race. Jonathan Cox, meanwhile, is having still issues with Fenrique, though. Fenrique is making mistakes behind him and is making him keep his position. Jonathan Cox is getting saved by the bell. Fenrique making mistakes behind the Haas driver. Now Fenrique, I think, has had a spin. Yes, he has! And he spun! And now he reverses on track, has to get out of the racing line, and now has had another spin. The tires must be absolutely destroyed after spinning twice. And the tires must be really warm right now as he's going to try and... Oh, now see, you got to be careful. Those tires are melted right now, Fenrique. You cannot run like that. Now, Flip Flop Fish, 30 seconds behind. Gurman has gone ahead of Fried Potato. They're going side by side right now. Potato side by side of Gurman for a bit there. Now, will he try to make another lunge on the inside? He'll look, but no. Probably best as Gurman gets into 7th. Look at this, Diego in the 130R. This is outrageous. On side by side with Sweet Crown 19 going into the final chicane at the end of the lap. Now very, very close. This is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, I think, as he activates his DRS on the line. Diego is in the slipstream of the Ferrari. He's going to get side by side of him going into turn 1. They're going to go side by side and overtake by the Williams. Yes! Sweet Crown 19 in the second, Diego in the first. And the Williams driver finally makes his overtake, but Sweet Crown 19 will not let him go easy as Fried Potato gets ahead of Tapastor, but goes very wide, and Fried Potato now, and Gurman is going to get into the mix, and oh, he gets pushed off, but Fried Potato gets onto the grass, and there's issues for the Williams driver, who drops down positions now behind Darkva in the Toro Rosso. And, ooh, Niklas goes onto the grass. Tapastor now is going to gain some time on him as he's going to have much lower straight line speed now coming into the end of Sector 1. I would like to mention now, actually, Sweet Crown 19 is dropping back a little bit from Diego. Not able to keep up with Diego, who is currently much better on pace. Lap 8 of 27 right now. There was a 3-second time penalty for De Villiers, who's all the way down in 10th. Flip Flop Fish is 15 seconds behind Fenrique, who's 3 seconds behind De Villiers. De Villiers, though, is under a second behind Potato. Potato is in 9th, half a second behind Darkva. Darkva just under a second behind Gurman. Gurman about half a second behind Tapastor. As they go up to the top of the track, DRS will be activated for Sweet Crown 19, but Diego's fastest SRT Monty has a 3-second time penalty. Sweet Crown 19 will try to catch up, but I do believe Diego definitively has the lead right now in this race, as Sweet Crown 19 is not able to match the same pace. Niklas will go into the pits. So will Fried Potato. Into 10th now, Flip Flop Fish is going to try. No, he's not going to jump these drivers, as he is way down the grid, 22 seconds behind. Flip Flop Fish is having a horrid race right now, as he had a horrid start and is now all the way down in 12th. He might pass Potato. Yes, he will actually get ahead of them. Thankfully, in the 10th, into the points, scoring 1 point at the moment. Let's ride on board of Gurman. Behind Tapastor right now, trying to get ahead of the Renault, get himself into the top 5, and very, very close indeed right now, about 4/10 of a second behind Tapastor. And here comes the Ferrari. Gurman riding on board of him right now, trying to catch up to the French outfit of Tapastor. Let's see what he can do. Coming towards the end of Sector 2. And Tapastor running very wide and actually gains himself a 3-second time penalty for running wide off track. Gurman in the slipstream. No DRS on the straight. Coming up to 130R. Let's see with more DRS, with a better line than Pastor coming out of 130R, braking hard into the chicane. Pastor locks up. That's going to help Gurman. Gurman gets a much better run out of here. And look at this now. Pastor dives into the pits. Gurman will take the position. Now, what will Pastor do is he almost puts it into the wall, actually. Now, the Villiers is into the pits. Flip-Flop Fish will pass them out of the pit lane, get himself higher into the positions that the three drivers ahead of him. As Team GD Darkva is trying to get ahead of Gurman now. Gurman is into the top 5. Let's see where Flip-Flop Fish gets ahead of these drivers. Pastor, and he will get ahead of all 3 of them. And a good move by Flip-Flop Fish. Now, again, he does have the pit again. He is on that soft compound tire. I'd like to know if that was a mistake or not by him. As Sweet Crown 19 is actually almost a second out of Diego's time right now on track, and he's not looking very hot right now, trying to catch up the first position. Sweet Crown 19's tires, though, have been struggling, and they're going to struggle even more with the dirty air behind Diego. But Diego runs up on the curb a little bit there and actually runs on the grass, but actually losing time is Sweet Crown 19. So really off pace right now. Sweet Crown 19 not able to catch up to Diego. Lap 10 right now of 27. Now, who will react first? Who will pit first? As Diego is coming around the final turn. Let's see. Yes, into the pits, Diego. And Sweet Crown 19 does not pit. And, oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for that. A little bit of a glitch on my controller there. But Sweet Crown 19 does not go into the pits. Diego does. Jonathan Cox follows him. Mitch 791 is going to come across the start-finish line and go in the second position ahead of Diego and Jonathan Cox. Sweet Crown 19 does lead the race, though does have to make a pit stop. Now, let's see how much faster Diego goes in the 5th. And look at this. Darkva and Gurman are trading positions. A good run there. Ooh, trying to get around the outside of Gurman. But again, around the center S is very hard to make an overtake. The track does thin quite a lot around here. Just about 2 cars length between the curb and the other curb on the other side. Flip-Flop fishes into the pits again and drops back all the way down the 12th. And pitiful right now for Flip-Flop Fish. Way down the rest of the grid, outside of the point, 7 seconds behind Fenrique, and that will increase now. It's about 13 seconds, might increase even more as it's paused again. 15 seconds now, and now 16. So very far behind. Used to be flying in another in another race of his own, 14th fastest on the grid right now. Sweet Crown 19 is 12 seconds ahead of Mitch. Now, the real question is, will Diego get ahead of him in the pit stops? As Sweet Crown 19 should be coming into the pits now. Yes, he will. Now, has Diego... I don't think Diego is going to make it here. As, oh my goodness, Sweet Crown 19 gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which he does not serve on this pit stop. But 5 seconds for Sweet Crown 19 at the end of this race. I'm going to ride on board of Diego. Let's see where he goes. There's an aerial shot there. Sweet Crown 19 should just be coming out of the pits. And there's a drag race between Gurman and Darkva, as now Gurman gets ahead of his teammates. Sweet Crown 19 is in the 4th, and he gets ahead. He gets ahead of... No, Diego actually jumps. No, sorry, Diego does get ahead of Jonathan Cox, but just about. Darkva and Gurman, though, were on a drag race on the start-finish line as Sweet Crown 19 was coming out of the pits. Now, these two drivers, one of them's on the hards, I believe. Yes, it is Darkva on the hards. He will go longer into this race. On the mediums is Gurman. Now, if we look onto the details here, 11 laps old are those tires, though, both. So... as long as this race has been alive for, so they do have to make pit stops soon. One stop right now for Diego and Sweet Crown 19. Diego putting on, I believe, would be the medium tires, unless he tried to put on the hards, trying to go for a one stop. Let's see what it is. I know it is mediums for him, and Sweet Crown 19 is on mediums as well. Nick Loss has a 3-second time penalty. Again, multiple warnings. Trying to catch up to Diego here. Now, this is going to be a true testament here. Who manages their tires better? As Gurman and Darkva goes onto the grass. Gurman will try to catch up to him again. Are they going to battle more, or are they going to go into the pits? Darkva is on hard, so he should last longer than Gurman. Now, going into the chicane. Ooh, very, very close. Who goes into the pits? Darkva looks like a no. Does not go into the pits. following with DRS is Gurman. Will try to make an overtake again on Darkva. Darkva is weaving all over track as he can, and no overtake in the turn one. Diego, though, trying to catch up to the top two and doing a very good job doing so. Sweet Crown 19 has actually dropped back 1.9 seconds behind Diego in fourth position right now. And Tapaster crashes. A crash for Tapaster. He's crashed out of 130R, I believe. Now, is there going to be a safety car here? Somebody pitted. Fried Potato speeds in the pit lane. And there's going to be no safety car, I believe. Somebody else is now pitted. Now, Potato has actually DNF'd as well. I believe in the pit lane. No, on the start-finish line, actually. Fried Potato was left the session. Something happened there. I didn't see the cars. There is no safety car. No indication, at least, of it anyway. Diego is getting passed by Gurman, just about trying to get ahead. Sorry, Diego is Gurman. Oh, no, Diego has a spin. Sweet Crown 19 gets ahead of Diego. After the mistake from Diego, now the Ferraris are 2-3. And Sweet Crown 19 effectively has taken the lead of the race. And a mistake from Diego, he gave it too much throttle out of the turn, and that has caused him issues. And now Diego has to get back ahead of Sweet Crown 19. Gurman and Dartva are still out there, though. Sweet Crown 19 would like to get ahead of his teammate. Now his teammate should let him by, and no. Ooh, now just about lets him by. And yes, now Sweet Crown 19, Gurman is going to do everything he can to block Diego. And look at this, he's doing a great job right now, like a very good Ferrari teammate usually does. And Diego is now getting compromised by Gurman. Tapaster has left the session as well. Lap 14 of 27 right now in this race. Diego is in fourth position, and Sweet Crown 19 is trying to get ahead of Darkva. Gurman is trying to keep behind Diego. Now let's see into the hairpin. Diego looks around the outside. Gurman is being extra blocky right now, as this is great tactics by the Ferrari drivers. And Darkva now should get passed by Sweet Crown 19. A good overtake just at the end of Sector 2, and there is the overtake for the lead of the race. But now Gurman gets a bad run through there. He's going to try to battle with Diego, but it is up to no avail as Darkva gets passed, but Diego gets passed too. So the plan to try to block Diego from getting into the lead has not worked so well, as Gurman, just as Sweet Crown 19 gets into the lead, Gurman gives up the position. Now Darkva has no reason to block. He might as well go into the pits right now, as I think he will now. No, actually still following Sweet Crown 19. These drivers are not giving up this position. Gurman on the medium tires, old mediums. Diego will catch behind, but now he's behind Darkva by a considerable margin, actually, as he's going to try to catch up to him. Gurman is behind Diego by some margin as well, but with old mediums, this is not going to be a battle he's going to win. Sweet Crown 19 leads the race, though, right now, and SRT Monty has left the session. Something has happened, and his car is going very slow, as Monty is out of the race right now, as Usumi Fine will try to pass him. Flip Flop Fish has one single point with medium tires in 11th. Gonna ride back on board of Diego as he passes Darkva on the inside in the hairpin, still side by side of Darkva. Who gets better traction? I believe Darkva actually might have gotten better traction, side by side of him still. And look at this, this is a mega battle right now. Who will break latest? And tries to look on the inside, but slots behind him. Diego is having to make a lot of work right now, as he hits the curb there a little bit and actually has a little bit of spin. But now in the slipstream, no DRS. I don't think it's going to matter. And on the grass, actually, as Darkva tries the block, but no avail, as Diego gets back in the second. But with all that battling, Sweet Crown 19 has a 1.2 second lead ahead of Diego, lap 15 of 27 in this race. Now, who is the faster driver? That is really going to make the difference here. Who is the faster driver right now on track? Is it Diego or is it Sweet Crown 19? We're about to see, as Darkva and Gurman have yet to pit. And if we look at the detail right there, they're 15 laps old, those tires. That's insane. So either they aren't feeling the tire wear, or they just aren't making good decisions on strategy. Nevertheless, they're in 3rd and 4th right now on the grid, and they're having a battle for the ages, but I don't think it's mattering too much. I want to ride on board with Nathan DeVillers. He's trying to catch up to Fenrique in the Red Bull car. And the McLaren right now trying to get into the 7th position, battling Fenrique, who had a good qualifying position, but has since dropped back all the way down to 7th. Niklas is in 9th position right now, just almost 5 seconds outside of Nathan DeVillers. Flip-Flop Fish is 9.9 seconds behind Niklas. Monty in 11th, he's out of the race. You See Me Flying has finally now started to catch up to him, 3.4 seconds. Sweet Crown 19 is now under a second ahead of Diego. Diego was definitely the faster driver on track. As just seen by there, even with a gap, Diego was able to close it up. And Sweet Crown 19, definitely not the fastest man out in WSR right now, as in Suzuka, Diego is throwing on a clinic right now. DRS activated now, will now catch up to Sweet Crown 19, get back within half a second. And yes, back within half a second going into turn 1. Sweet Crown 19 back in the danger zone again, as finally Darkva and Gurman go into the pits. Mitch 791 will go in the 4th. Jonathan Cox goes back in the 3rd. How close? Look at this. They are really close. Darkva and Gurman out of the pit lane. This is going to be a mega battle right now. I'm actually going to ride on board of him right now. Gurman is going to be very, very close to Darkva out of the pit lane, and they are separated by 0.7 of a second. They're both soft tires for Gurman, soft tires for Darkva. Now this is going to be interesting. Lap 17 of 27. I don't know if they're going to make those tires last all the way till the end of the race. That might be another pit stop. Diego, on the other hand, though, is under 0.4 of a second behind Sweet Crown 19, and this is going to help him immensely. Nathan DeVillers gets another second time penalty. Look at this on the inside. And no, trying to look on the inside, but Sweet Crown 19 had a bad run out of there, but Diego is catching up considerably to Sweet Crown 19, just does not have the pace in this race. In the slipstream, coming up to 130R, this is going to be a mega move by Diego, going on the outside in the 130R. Look at this, still side by side, but Diego gets the lead of the race before the start-finish line. A mega move around 130R, around Sweet Crown 19, and that was one of the most amazing overtakes I've seen all year. Here comes Sweet Crown 19, though. He's in the slipstream. Diego gives him room, and here he goes. Slotting behind is Diego behind Sweet Crown 19. Sweet Crown 19 gets back into the lead of the race, and this is going to be a big battle for the lead of the race, ladies and gentlemen. Both on medium tires, looking very, very determined indeed to see who will get ahead of who. Look at Darkva on Gurman, now on the inside, just keeping it out of the wall. Going into turn 1, ahead of Gurman. Yes, Darkva getting ahead of Gurman back in the 7th. What an amazing race so far, ladies and gentlemen. Big battles right now. Suzuka is giving us an amazing show of drivers right now. And even if there's no real Formula 1 in the world, WSR bringing you the best action as you possibly can. If you want to know more information about WSR, make sure to go to www.worldwidesimracing.com to find out more information about all the leagues we run and all the information about our league. Make sure to leave a like on the video and make sure to subscribe for more content. Thank you very much for joining us. This is live coverage of the 2020 WSR Japanese Grand Prix. Diego was in second position behind Sweet Crown 19. Coming up to 130R, Diego again getting a better run than Sweet Crown 19. Going into the hairpin. The chicane. Sweet Crown 19 is coming now around the final turn, still ahead of Diego, but for how much longer, as Diego will have DRS down the straight and is in the slipstream. Sweet Crown 19 can do all he can to break the slipstream. Let's see, trying to go around the outside in the turn 1, and now it's going to be difficult from the beginning. Sweet Crown 19 keeps the position. Great defending from the Ferrari driver. In the center S is following very closely is Diego on Sweet Crown 19. This is a mega battle for the lead. Darkva actually goes fastest with a 137. Gurman is trying to catch up to Darkva, but now Darkva has actually created a small bit of a gap. Look at this. I want to ride on board of Monty right now, who has had issues with De Villiers. De Villiers is trying to get ahead of him. Now De Villiers is running up on the grass here. What's going on here? Darkva, actually, no, it's Darkva and Nathan De Villiers who are having issues. Now Gurman and Nathan De Villiers. Now Gurman and, oh, there's a spin. There's a crash now. Monty is having issues because he has left the track. And now there's damage, I think, for Gurman's car. Yes, safety car has been deployed. There's a safety car. Oh my goodness. Safety car deployed. Because of the incidents with Monty, who left the race. Some sort of disconnect or something, but Darkva has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Oh boy, again with the speeding under safety car issues. But Sweet Crown 19 and Diego will be held at a standstill for now, but safety car has been deployed. And let me just say, in terms for Flip-Flop Fish, this is the absolute best situation that could have happened for him. Nathan De Villiers, does he have damage on the McLaren? There were issues with him as he was tangling with, I believe, Monty. I do believe he might have an end plate actually gone on the car. I can't quite see it. I'm trying to get a close-up here. And yes, there is end plate. There's an end plate gone on the McLaren. Into the pit lane is Nick Gloss and the McLaren. Oh my goodness, Nick Gloss and Nathan De Villiers almost touched in the pit lane. That could have been dastardly. And a whole bunch of drivers go into the pits. And Sweet Crown 19 will keep the lead right now, 1.3 seconds ahead of Diego. Jonathan Cox is currently in third. So safety car deployed, lap 20 of 27, and Sweet Crown 19 has caught up to the safety car. And we've had safety cars galore in WSR since the update, and this is no exception here. Maybe not exactly a situation I would have considered safety car worthy, but nevertheless, we do have a safety car, and Flip-Flop Fish's day has gone significantly better, as he will try to catch up on the grid now. He's in ninth, so he's got 3 points right now to his name. 3 or 2 points, I believe. Yes, it is 2 points, actually. 2 points to his name right now, possibly more. He is on that soft compound tire. So it'll be interesting to see if Flip-Flop Fish can dice up the pack. Now, he's been on that soft for a bit now, though. Let's see what the tire life is on there. Actually, 0 laps now. He made another pit stop for softs, but almost the entire grid except the top cars are on mediums. Now, I got to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. This race might not be over for the top 4 who have old medium tires. They will have to go till the end if they want to survive on this race. Jonathan Cox jumps Mitch, who goes into the pits. But the rest of the drivers behind are on soft compound tires. Much faster, new soft compound tires. This will be interesting. Sweet Crown 19 is in the lead. Diego is in second. Jonathan Cox in the Haas in third. We shall see what happens. Under safety car conditions, we're on lap 21 of 27, so the dying laps of this race are upon us. But with most of the grid on a faster new soft tire with the top 4 on old mediums, I would like to mention that Mitch is probably now on the soft tires as well. Yes, and now only 3 drivers on mediums. 10 laps old for Diego and Jonathan Cox, 9 laps old for Sweet Crown 19. This is going to be very, very interesting. Safety car is been deployed. Flip-Flop Fish must be very, very happy. He's still trying to catch up to the safety car queue, though, right now, as he's been very far behind the rest of the grid, though he will catch up substantially as the cars are going quite slow right now, of course, under safety car. And, ooh, Sweet Crown 19 going a little bit too fast, and the safety car is going quite slow right now, and if Sweet Crown 19 had a radio, I'd presume it's somewhere along the lines of Lewis Hamilton complaining about the safety car speed. And Sweet Crown 19 will look to get the best getaway he can ahead of Diego. Because if he doesn't, surely the Williams driver, who's been faster all day long, clearly will get ahead of Sweet Crown 19. Sweet Crown 19 looking to gain maximum amount of points. Safety car is still on, so I presume another lap of the safety car, and then we will get the safety car going in on lap 22. Going through 130R. Thank you very much for joining us. We're under safety car conditions right now after an incident with Monty, Nathan DeVillers, and Gurman, which will be definitely looked into after the race. You join us live at Suzuka for the 2020 WSR Japanese Grand Prix. Sweet Crown 19 looks to be doing a very good position right now in first position, trying to gain on his rival in the championship, Flip Flop Fish. And if Flip Flop Fish can stay in about 9th right now, he will gain a huge amount of points in the gap right now. Sweet Crown 19 was your champion from 2019, looking to defend his title, but it has been a very rocky road for Sweet Crown 19. We're on lap 22, still under safety car conditions. I do suspect that the safety car will come in this lap. I don't suspect another lap of the Mercedes AMG car. And if we do, the restart will be with Sweet Crown 19 leading the pack. Flip Flop Fish has, of course, now gained up to the pack. And Sweet Crown 19, imperative, must get a good start. Must get a good start. If he does not, this will all be for nothing. You See Me Flying is still trying to catch up to the queue. He will do just about that as he finally catches up to them. You See Me Flying would, of course, also love to get a great start. He is only just outside of the points. And that would be great if he could finish in the points, trying to get ahead of Niklas in the Red Bull, who is in 10th right now. SRT Monty is behind Jonathan Cox. He is somewhere in the pack now. SRT Monty's not in the race right now and is causing issues. I hope that this is not going to cause more issues under the safety car conditions. And again, we don't know if he disconnected or he intentionally left the race, so that will have, of course, be investigated afterwards. But it is, of course, illegal to leave the race intentionally. If you disconnect, that's one thing. But that has caused this safety car to come out. And we're still on lap 22. We're trying to see when this... Yep, safety car speeding up. Safety car in this lap. Sweet Crown 19 will lead the pack away on to lap 23 of the regulation of 27 laps. All the drivers getting their final warm-ups in. Sweet Crown 19 will bunch them up as much as he can. Uh-oh, Fenrique gets a 5-second penalty for a collision with Monty. Monty, who's not even in the race right now. Oh, boy. Major incidents as we're coming around the chicane now. Sweet Crown 19 speeds up, and he will get his restart underway. Coming across the line, I want to say Diego actually did not get a great run on him. Jonathan Cox is trying to get on him as well. Fenrique in 4th position. And I'm going to ride on board of Flip Flop Fish 4 as he gets just ahead of Monty now. He's into... Niklas is into 10th position now behind Flip Flop Fish. Gets 1 position, I believe. Actually, no positions. Flip Flop Fish still in 9th. And a big jostling of positions as Gurman looking to get ahead of Darkva as their battles will continue. Lap 23 of 27 right now. Sweet Crown 19 leads away Diego, and he got a very good start on him. Nathan DeVillers dropping down the 10th, and there has been a big bunch of cars who have had issues right now. And thank you again, everybody who's joining us right now as, oh, look at this, Niklas looking to get side-by-side with Darkva on the inside into the hairpin, bumping Darkva. Darkva bumps him, and there's a big jostling of positions, a little bit of contact between the drivers. Look at this, Darkva still on the inside of Niklas for 7th position, still side by side. Now the Mercedes of Flip Flop Fish will go on the inside of Darkva. Darkva almost has a spin. Is there contact? Just a bit, but not enough for damage. And now keeping it together. Nathan DeVillers now trying to get ahead of Darkva. Gurman is side by side with Jonathan Cox and gets in the 4th position. Diego has caught up to Sweet Crown 19. This will be a battle for the lead of the race. Let's see what happens here. DRS is not activated yet as we still have to go for 3 more laps before that happens, and that will mean at the very end of the race. Niklas trying to catch up to Mitch, 791. Darkva 2/10 behind Flip Flop Fish 4. Team Darkva has left the session as well. There's been a disconnect for him as he will drop back. De Villiers will get ahead of him. You See Me Flying will jump more positions. He'll get into 10th position ahead of Jonathan Cox, who's been into the pits. And now look at this. You See Me Flying trying to get ahead of him. And finally does get ahead of Darkva, who again was slowing up, again has left the session. Jonathan Cox all the way at the bottom, definitely had damage from the incidents there. And Nathan De Villiers has dropped down a position. Darkva, what is going on here? There's a yellow flag somewhere. De Villiers is trying to get ahead of Darkva. Let's see if he will. Oh no, he hit the back of him. Is that going to be damage on his front wing? No, I don't believe it will be. Finally, will get ahead of Darkva. And we're seeing it shades of 2019 where drivers were leaving at the wrong time. Look at this. Flip-flop fish getting pushed by Niklas off track. Niklas with some very, very defensive driving. Niklas trying to keep the Mercedes behind him. Let's see now through 130R. And look at this. Niklas is moving under braking zones, and he's got to be wary here, as now Niklas is just about trying to squeeze Flip-flop fish. Going too wide now. DRS is going to be enabled on this lap. Niklas is going to do all he can, but now, surely, Flip-flop fish will get ahead of him. And let's see, will he brake hard? He'll try to brake hard as he can, but no. Not able to keep behind You See Me Flying, and he will get behind him. Diego in second position right now. DRS has been activated on lap 25 of 27. There are 3 laps to go, including this one. And braking hard, going through the slow underneath the bridge. Sweet Crown 19 leads the race right now. He has a 5-second penalty, though. Diego does not. So at the moment, though, Diego looking to win this race. Flip-flop fish is in 6th position right now, gaining positions by the lap. Now trying to get ahead of Mitch into the top 5. This would surely help his deficit, which would have been very high if he had finished in 9th. Now a 3-second time penalty for Diego, though, for multiple warnings. Gurman does have penalties, though, of course, so we'll have to see how that goes. Darkva now, finally, Jonathan Cox hitting ahead of Darkva, and now the 2 Toro Rosso drivers who quit the race, either by disconnect or by intentionality, are in 11th and 12th. Now Diego, DRS will be activated, and Sweet Crown 19 has had a spin. Sweet Crown 19 will now give up this lead for sure. Diego is finally ahead of Sweet Crown 19. It was a matter of time, but now Sweet Crown 19 made it inevitable as he had an issue out of the final turn on lap 25, and Sweet Crown 19 has given up the lead of the race. Gurman is in 3rd. He's on the podium right now. Fenrique, though. Fenrique is in 4th. Will he get onto the podium? It's going to be possibly a 2-3 for Ferrari. This would be a big, great point-scoring position for the Italian outfit if they can keep it together. Jonathan Cox of a 5-second time penalty. You See Me Flying is 5/10 behind Nathan De Villiers in the McLaren, who is struggling behind his teammate Mitch 791. The 2 McLarens line astern on lap 26. And, oh, look at this. Nathan De Villiers and Mitch 791 are going to go side by side now, and it's actually Nathan De Villiers who gets ahead. I think Mitch 791 actually let him by, as You See Me Flying now actually gets compromised by Mitch 791 into the hairpin. And we're on the penultimate lap of this race. Sweet Crown 19 is backing away from Diego 1989. Let's see what happens here. On the final lap, I think Diego has secured the win in Suzuka in what has been a crazy, fantastic race from start to finish. Diego coming across the line for the final lap and almost just outside of DRS. Sweet Crown 19 will have DRS, but it'll be no effect really, as he was too far back to really gain. And Flip-flop fish not only is now in 5th position, but sets the fastest lap of the race. Here comes Nathan De Villiers on Niklas. He'll try to go around the outside in the turn 1, and that's an outrageous display. And now Niklas has spun. The Red Bull spins out of the race into 9th. Now will possibly go down the 10th as he gets reset on track. And he had a battle with Nathan De Villiers in the turn 1, and he spun off track. And Nathan De Villiers and Mitch 791, 6th and 7th respectively. Good points for the McLaren drivers. Flip-flop fish is in 5th Fenrique, with penalties, might have to give up that position, might go in the 4th. And that is a terrible, terrible end for Nick Loss's race. You See Me Flying, though, is catching up to Mitch 791. Will he try to go on the inside in the hairpin? This might be the final place for making overtake. He's going to try to go around the outside, but no. Who will get better traction? I believe it is Mitch 791 who got better traction out of the turn. Here comes Flip Flop Fish making a move on Fenrique on the inside. A battle till the end. They're still side by side on the start line before 130R. Diego will come across the final few turns and he will win the Suzuka Grand Prix, the Japanese Grand Prix. Another win for him. Flip Flop Fish still side by side on the chicane. Diego is your winner. Sweet Crown 19 and Gurman is going to be third. Fenrique is Flip Flop Fish on the line who will make it, and it's Flip Flop Fish who gets ahead of Fenrique. Nathan the Fillers gets ahead of him. Fenrique dropping down with major penalties, down all the way in 8th. You See Me Flying finishes in 7th on the grid. And what an amazing end to the race. Diego wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And that was one of the most amazing races I've ever had to commentate on WSR. An absolute pleasure to watch. The Williams driver gets the win on the top step of the podium. An absolute stunner of a race. Flip Flop Fish and Fenrique had an amazing battle at the end there. The 2 Ferraris on the podium, though, a very good result for them. Diego is your winner. Sweet Crown 19 in 2nd. Gurman in 3rd. And that was an amazing race from start to finish, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This has been your coverage of the WSR Formula World Championship. My name is WSRX. Make sure to join us next week for the Belgium Grand Prix, my favorite track on the calendar. Thank you very much for joining us, and have yourselves a wonderful night.